On today's episode, From Birthdays to Brackets, March in the Empty Nest. Hey guys, welcome back to The Loud Quiet. I was having coffee earlier this week with a friend, and we were talking about how it felt like it was just the other day that we were prepping for the ice storm here in Texas, and now we're almost halfway through March. It's crazy how fast this year has already gone by, and it got me to thinking, our March is so crazy, and and March is always a crazy month for us, but the first 2 weeks of this year's March have just been so jam-packed.
Yeah. Can I talk about you mentioning how it just feels like the year has advanced so quickly? I think a lot of it for us, the trees are already spitting their pollen right now, and
it's like
early.
Yeah.
We got warm fast.
The 1 week of ice was really the only winter that we had.
Yeah.
I was saying to you the other day, I said, I didn't really get to wear many of my winter clothes, and it's already time for me to switch out my closets again. Now, today we have on winter clothes because it's freaking cold again.
And for those listeners that are anywhere north of Texas, you're probably going,
Yes.
okay,
Right,
I get it. But it really has warmed up. I don't want to say way too early because I like it warmed up. It just, I think we're experiencing an outside that feels like April when it's still the early middle part of March for sure.
So is it springtime where you live? What do you think about when you associate March with? What do you associate it with? I know people do think of March being windy, and you're thinking about spring coming in and those kind of things.
Windy. I am not going to go on my rant. I did a rant last week that was more serious than wind, but my feelings about North Texas weather are well known when it comes to.
But our March gets kicked off with our birthdays.
Yes.
We both have birthdays that are very close together in March, and for you and me, we're like, okay, it's our birthdays.
Yeah, we've never. No. I'm not going to say we've never, but birthdays. Once I got out of being a kid, they just don't mean that much to me. And I'm sure the signature ones. Let me tell you the one that meant the most to me, and it's not the one that people are probably thinking. It was turning 16. I was sitting there in front of the driver's license office in Austin when it opened, like the old Mervin's ad. Open. I was desperately wanting that thing to be open so I could get my driver's license. But aside from signature ones, and of course as a kid with birthday parties and all that, I just don't care that much.
Yeah. I can remember a few parties here and there, but it was never just a huge deal. Now, and that's, I think, just how we have treated it. And maybe that's just lazy on our part. This year, this year you and I were both like, are you doing a card even? And we were both like, no. We did go and we got 2 new pairs of running shoes. So,
Woo,
yeah. But,
birthday.
We're getting cards from other people, and we didn't even give each other cards.
Well, we've got a couple friend of ours that said, hey, it's y'all's birthdays. Let's all go out. And I got to tell you, when they first said that, my first reaction was, it is?
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah.
Oh, it is.
Okay. Well, when I met my friend for coffee, it was the day after my birthday, and she's like, oh, how was your birthday? I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, it was my birthday. Now, Tegan did fly in on my birthday, so I was very happy that, I told her she was my present. So, anyways, but yeah, it's just now, but what's funny is, I want everyone else's birthdays to be super special. I cooked your favorite meal for you on your birthday. And so I do want, I celebrate the kids big when it's their birthdays.
Well,
so
there's a chapter in the book called Cakes on a Plane, because you make a cake that's in the shape of their age, and we flew it out to Arizona.
Tegan's age. I only do that for Tegan. Yeah. But not that I don't do special things for Tanner, but that has been her thing.
No cakes on a plane for him.
But, it's interesting that I do. I do that for them, but I don't really want that for me. And so I was listening to a podcast earlier this week, and he was talking about he had a comedian on, and he said, I'm on stage all the time. I really don't want to be the focus when I'm off stage. And the podcaster said, huh, that's interesting. Now that we have morphed into this area that we are into, I don't know what you want to call it, lifestyle entertainment, whatever you want to call it. I feel like we're on a lot. And so when I'm not on, I want to be not on.
Okay, so that's actually an interesting thought because I don't mind staying. Now, we've talked about that. I'm an introvert at heart, but I'm a social introvert, but the batteries get wound down when it's in a social environment. But I don't mind being on stage, and I mean that metaphorically, whatever that means. I don't like attention being pointed at me directly for something like a birthday.
That, yes.
I know there's just something that's different about that. Now, I don't want to say challenge you, but I really want you to ask you, go back in your mind 15 years ago, kind of in the early marrieds, that era. Would you say the same thing about how you feel about birthdays then as you do now?
I don't know. I don't know so much about birthdays, maybe anniversaries.
Okay.
But I don't.
Yeah, but we killed those with soccer matches. So.
That wasn't until later. But I do remember, like, 1 year for our anniversary, you gave me, like, pictures that you had taken of Tanner, and I was like, well, that's sweet, but this is what I get for our anniversary,
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with the world.
Hey, I mean,
it is no secret that I suck at gift giving,
and
it is a love language that I fail to express well.
Now, I will say sometimes you do a very good job. Like, I got a Christmas gift this year that I was not expecting, and you did a very good job. I got a birthday gift of 5 years ago that I totally was not expecting. That, yes, it was very huge birthday gift. So no, there are times that
I just try to save it up for specific moments once every 5 years, apparently.
But so I can't even like recall thinking about birthdays back then in like probably high school and college. My birthday always fell on spring break.
Right.
And so if I wasn't with my friends on spring break, then I was home and everyone else was gone. And so that always made it,
I was thinking
not
back
so
to
great.
like when we as a family were on ski trips that we would do. We'd try to find a nice place to go to dinner in wherever it was that we were skiing to celebrate your birthday. But it was under this overarching umbrella of being inside of the spring break envelope. I know you and I, before we were recording, we were talking about how there can be a view that March birthdays are sort of overlooked. And I don't actually agree with that feel. I think March is one of the best months. Spring break aside, I get what you're saying there, but spring break aside, I like the fact that there aren't really any significant major holidays. We have some celebratory fun holidays like St. Patrick's Day and others, but it is not overshadowed by any other month. Really, the only thing that as a kid that I didn't like about it was that I was late in the school year. I was the last one to get my driver's license. I was late turning 21 in college.
Yeah, that was just a TikTok I had seen. And this guy was funny. He just said, we're kind of in between Valentine's Day and Easter. And then there's this green guy that comes in the middle of the month. And then it's all about basketball the entire month. So it was kind of funny.
It's funny. Certainly from a birthday perspective, it's not. I had never thought of it as being overshadowed.
Talking about being on spring break, which usually fell on my birthday, we were in New York for one of those birthdays.
That was very iconic.
Yes. And this week there is Friday the 13th.
Which is
in March.
Tomorrow for us recording. It will have happened after. We'll be after it. So either you're going to hear this recording or you're not, depending on.
So Friday the 13th is happening in March tomorrow. There has not been a Friday the 13th in March since 2020. And that is when everything shut down. That was
I thought you were going to say a different SH word.
That was when we were trying to get back from New York. And Tegan was talking last night. She's like, ooh, that's when we got the email that said, hey, we're not going to have school. But just for a couple of weeks. Yeah, no.
That was when we were flying back from New York. Y'all were on Southwest. I was on American.
And Tanner was coming from London. We were trying to get him home from London. Yeah.
It was quite a scene, quite a story that we've shared before.
That's been I've seen it all over social media this week that, this is the first Friday the 13th that has been since then.
Like I said, because we're recording this the day before that Friday the 13th. So if you're hearing this episode, then everything went okay and we're all good.
Is this like, Y2K? We're all just trying to make it through tomorrow.
That is so weird that I was thinking about Y2K today. One of the podcasts I was listening to this morning, there was a woman in Australia that was being interviewed by a woman in the UK. And she said something kind of silly. Like she said, oh, how's my tomorrow? Because it was tomorrow. And it brought me back to when you and I were sitting in the Hampton Inn in Houston because you were on an overnight as a flight attendant. So I flew down with you to spend New Year's Eve 2020, going into 2020.
No,
and I remember
not 2020.
Oh, not 2020.
No, going into 2000.
Going into 2000, yes. Okay, so going into 2000. And I still remember when we saw the fireworks going off in Australia, it was like, oh,
everything's
okay,
fine.
The world didn't break. So yes, as long as Australia is fine,
we'll
be fine.
So where were you on that Friday the 13th in 2020?
Well, it'll be interesting to remember where everybody was for sure. Something that you did mention earlier, the little green guy, that I do think about, actual St. Patrick is probably like, really? That's my day, a bunch of debauchery and the like. But St. Patrick's Day is coming up, another big thing in March. And it's been fun to think about what St. Patrick's Day was like for you and me in our dating days as compared to what it is now.
And which we would never really even probably be talking about, except for the fact that it has now entered into our son's world because of where he lives, which is right where we spent our early 20s.
And it's the epicenter of St. Patrick's Day celebrations in the Dallas area. And you and I, and the thing is, I never really thought of it as that big of a holiday, but some of my Duke friends at the time lived close to the parade route there in Dallas. And so they had a big thing in the morning, and we would go to their apartment beforehand and then head over to the parade. The whole block party thing, unless I don't remember it, was never a thing for us.
Because like we talked about, really, it was in a different section of, if you're in Dallas, Greenville Avenue than it is now. Now it's, it spans almost the entire Greenville Avenue.
It's almost as if they've sort of separated, they being Dallas, separated St. Patrick's Day celebration into the parade, which is family, and then the block party, which is not family. So, and that was, we would go to the parade and that would be kind of it. There wasn't much to it. Now, with
you were done by, we were back home and asleep by 10 a.m. because you had to get up early.
I like that, back asleep. We're not gonna comment on the reasons for sleep. It was just an early wake up. You're right, absolutely right. But it has been fun to see it through the eyes of our kid now, doing our young adult kid, pretty much at the same age that we were at that time.
Yeah. Yes, probably exactly the same age. So that has been fun. And I've always loved St. Patrick's Day. That's always been one of my favorite holidays. And I think because I was born in March, and I think actually, I'd have to ask my mom, but I think actually I was supposed to be born on St. Patrick's Day.
Really?
I was just early. And so, and I'm Irish.
Right.
So, that's just always been a fun holiday for me. I went to Chicago one time for spring break, and
what was that like? Because I haven't been up there for Chicago.
Oh, it was fun. I may not remember all of it, but it was fun. And there's some stories out of that trip that you've been told, but not a lot of other people have been told. So
So it's
We won't share those.
so there's stories beyond just the Green River.
Yes. But no, that was a fun trip. But well, you've seen the hotel that I stayed at.
Oh my gosh, when we went back there.
I can't believe it's still there.
I can't believe it's not. Well, I mean, every city's got to have its place for prostitution and drugs to run through. So it's sketch.
I was not doing either of those things.
I guarantee the rooms on the left and the right of you were.
I don't know. It's still there. And I mean, I don't know. But
the oldest profession and one of the most lucrative ones. Probably keep it in business.
It was in the AAA book.
Oh.
But
boy, there's dating yourself.
The
AAA book.
I mean, how else did you find things back then? That's how you had to do it.
Well,
I mean, that was in college. If my parents would have seen it, they probably would have been like, hell to the no, but I don't know. So yes, I survived. I'm fine. All is good.
Does that explain why you won't let us stay at the more moderate places that you need the upscale hotels that we stay at now?
No, that has nothing to do with it. I was a broke college student back then. Boy, I'm not that anymore.
Boy, there's a lot of folks listening going, amen. We stayed in some places. Yeah. I know that when I was doing the backpacking trip, there were places that, whew.
Yeah. No, when Tanner was showing me the Airbnb that they're staying at when they go on this next trip in the fall, I was like, oh my good gosh. I mean, yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You're going to need to be a young adult and stay at some of the sketch. Boy, here's
no, not where he's going.
No.
They need to stay somewhere nice.
I still remember a hostel that Phil Davis and I stayed at in Russia when I was visiting him. We went into Moscow on an overnight trip. He was teaching English in St. Petersburg. And I swear to you, the room that we were in had about 8 people in this room. And the guy clearly had tuberculosis, the way he was hacking up along in the other side of the room.
Now, see, okay, here's the thing.
Is this a new segment?
No, but look, we're sitting here talking about these things that we did, and we're telling our children, I guess now because we can see the places.
We know it.
Well,
that's the difference.
And because we can see the places that they're looking at and see, which, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
Oh, I had a knee-jerk reaction. It's a bad thing because they can go live that life. You never know about it. And if a cockroach runs across their foot, no big deal.
Except, I don't know. The world is a little different now than it was 30 years ago.
There was danger in all parts of life.
If Tegan tried to stay at that hotel, because Tegan is the age that I was, mm-hmm. Yeah, this would have been the spring break that I would have been in Chicago. Mm-hmm. If she tried to stay at that hotel, there's absolutely no way that I would let her do that.
And I agree with you.
I know.
If I didn't know about it, and it was in a culture and a world where parents didn't know about that, we would know about it, and she would then be on whatever consists of a podcast 40 years from now telling her spouse that story.
That's so interesting to think about, the things that we did and the dangerous situations that we put ourselves in that now, I would not let my kids do.
My tuberculosis story, there's a sentence. My tuberculosis story. There was nothing particularly dangerous. Certainly from a health perspective. This was just a sketch hostel that was really cheap for us to spend the night in when we took an overnight train into Moscow, spent the night there that night, and then took the train the next day.
You were way more cautious than I was, though. You were.
Well, this wasn't even college. I was out of college.
I know, but you were way more. I have to.
I want to see this process.
I have to be careful because my parents listen to this and they don't know all the stories.
Well, I guarantee they're going to be asking to a lot of these stories.
No,
is that going to be the second edition book? It's just going to be called The Loud, Quiet Clancy Stories.
But I.
Yeah.
There are times that I think I should not be here. And so, yeah, you were way more cautious than, and maybe that's why I am the way I am now. This weekend, we took a trip to Austin with Tanner and his girlfriend. We wanted to introduce her to the family. They're an amazing trip. We had so much fun. That was our first trip together, all together. And that would be an interesting but it was so much fun. There's really nothing to tell. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Have y'all done that? Traveled with your, I know, like, when they're married or when kids are married.
Would you travel
that,
with your kids, girlfriend, boyfriend?
Yeah. But, we had an incident with a homeless person, and it freaked me out, and I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you were like, it's fine. Don't worry about, but.
Well, hang on. I was going to protect the hell out of you, but my job was to keep everyone calm and move to a more secure situation.
I was freaked out after the fact. I wasn't acting freaked out then,
you weren't.
But I was very freaked out after the fact, just because I know that our child may be moving there. And both of our kids lived in places where, in the cities that there are a lot of homeless people around, but they have never been aggressive. Never. We walk by them all the time, and some of them are friendly. I mean,
they're just people that aren't inside a house.
This was the first time that I've seen the aggressive person, act out. And so, and so maybe that stems from the situations that I put myself in at an earlier age. Maybe I don't know. So
that could be very true.
There you go. Deep thoughts.
Or it could just be that you really like nice things. Either of those two. So I think it probably is a lot of the
There, can I use that as an excuse now? You just
nope.
You just gave me.
Hey, so we've got one more thing in March that we wanted to talk about, which is getting started here, and that's another part of it. And heck, it's even built into the name, March Madness, right?
Yes.
Which shouldn't consume. You would think, that doesn't consume all that much of the schedule.
Oh my Lord! When you're married to a basketball person, yes, it does. Let me just say this.
From Thursday at 10 a.m.
Let me
Sunday
just
at 10
say
p.m.
this.
Oh, is that another segment?
Last night, I'm making plans with our couple friend, and I said, hey, we're going out on this date and this date. Well, if Duke is playing on either one of those nights, we either need to find a place that I can watch it, or I'm like, oh my, and I knew it. I knew that was going to be.
I don't know why you got the finger wag going here. I embrace it. I acknowledge it, and I say, yeah, that's my time. That is the season. We talk about it. We didn't get married in March. I had blocked that much.
March was off limits for a wedding.
I still joke that Tegan came early and interfered with Final Four. So it's always been a kind of fun little warm spot of there. But
I know you didn't think about that this year when we are traveling for her. We are traveling back on the day of the.
We'll be back early enough. No, I did think about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd already figured that out. We'll be back. No, but absolutely. We will see the Final Four in its entirety.
Yeah. This is the time of year that, and again, there's a chapter in the book about punching a hole, or not punching, but
that makes me sound angry.
Well,
no.
You did throw a shoe at the TV one time.
Wait, I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, you should remember it when the TV wasn't. It was. I don't know that it was during March Madness, but
no, I wasn't throwing a shoe at the TV. That's how we had to have the TV start working.
I know. Yes.
Yeah, let's tell the story where it's not like some unhinged.
Oh no.
Monster.
I didn't mean that. I just meant that you had to throw a shoe at or throw something at it, but it wasn't.
Yeah, our TV was so bad that you had to actually literally knock it around to get it to work, and we didn't have the money to buy a new TV.
Anyways, in the book, it talks about, before you had all of the picture-in-picture and everything, Rick cut a hole in my wall to run a cable.
That's right.
Through one room to the other so he could
because the internet
have the computer next to. Yeah.
There's plenty of people that are going, well, of course. Of course that's what he did.
Yeah. So
No, there are many people that have a certain song that goes, it's the most wonderful time of year in a different month. I sing it in this month, and I cannot
yes,
wait for it to start.
I am fully aware. It's been
All
on.
right,
It's already been on the
let's hear
TV
it.
this
Well,
week.
it's sort of pre-March Madness. It's the conference tournaments
Yeah.
that are in play.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you were watching ones that
We're the
never
championship
even
of the
heard
lesser
of.
league, and trust me, you get into it just as much when it's that Cinderella team, and that's where they come from. So it's
Yes.
all about
Mm.
the fun. It's about the madness. So I'm actually curious for y'all. What's your household like for March Madness? Any season element of it? Is it St. Patrick's? Is it the basketball tournament? Do you got some birthdays? What does that look like? Because I know in our house, this season matters a lot, and it is incredibly busy and fun.
Maybe that's why our birthdays we just get forgotten.
No. The birthdays happen and complete well before those get going.
I don't know. You and Tanner were already talking about
Talking about it's not the same
where
as
everyone was going to fall and how everyone was going to do, and are they going to make it into the tournament?
I'm feeling a little persecuted this episode
That's
here.
been the
I
talk
don't know about
since
that.
the middle of
I'm going to put you on the hot
beginning
spot
of
next year.
February.
Let's talk more about the dangerous places that you've been.
I gave up a lot of info in this episode.
Let's dive deeper there. All right. Well, y'all, March is a fun season for us. There's a lot of laughing. There's a lot of fun and a lot of intensity for it. I hope that y'all have a lot of fun in the season of March as well, and hope that you enjoyed another episode of The Loud Quiet.